Greetings, YouTubers and Rumble folks and everybody. I'm Brandon. My channel is B-Man IT, and we are in January. Today's January 5th, and it's nice 60 to 70 degree weather out. Been getting a lot of rain. Everything's wet out here. But the bees are out flying, and they're looks like they are collecting the red maple pollen. Most of my hives, I'm pretty satisfied with them. Most of my hives are looking pretty good. I have one really weak one, two semi-weak ones, and the rest have good, strong clusters in them. This hive here, my number one hive, actually, maybe you can watch a few coming in with pollen there. Here's one, there's a couple. So they're coming in with pollen. I've had to, as you can see with shims on here, I've had to feed some of my hives. Just more or less that's an insurance to make sure they don't starve out before the end of the year. Or before the beginning of the honey flow, rather. When everything starts blooming. But everything looks good. That hive on the end, my number 4 hive, that was probably my biggest hive last year, and then I found out probably somewhere around September they must have swarmed one more time because I noticed they had a new queen in there. The queen in there is currently not marked, but they had one in there last time I was looking for her. But I'm doing what's called the sugar camp method with a lot of these hives when it comes to feeding. Take a peek in there. So basically just dump in, and I have a brood minder sensor in there. Threw in a pollen patty. So bees come up here to eat, and then they will go on actually underneath this and cluster and keep warm. But this hive had a really bad time with mites. So did my number 1 hive. Those are the 2 ones I had a bad time with mites. I did 2 treatments of Apivar strips on them, and it appears that I had some mites out here that were tolerant to Apivar, which is not a good thing. So as a last ditch method, I use Apigard on my hives back here, and when I did that, you could see the mites coming out of the entrance of the hives. I'm dying. For those of you who don't know, they look like little red dots, and you can kind of see the legs on them when they're out on the entrance board. Usually the bees do a pretty good job of cleaning stuff out of their entrance. This hive here is probably going to be my strongest one. I'm going to have to keep a close eye on this one when honey flow starts speeding up. This one's going to end up booming on me and wanting to swarm early. So sometime around mid-March most likely. So all the bees are out flying around happy though. Got a little creek going. And any new beekeepers that come across this channel, one thing I would suggest for new beekeepers, if you don't want to be too nice, is get these migratory covers or commercial covers for the beehives, and you can drill a hole in them and put a plug in them. It makes it easy to feed these bees with a bucket. Just pop the lid, or pop the little lid there and the plug, and throw a bucket on, and you don't have to actually go in the hive and feed them. But best time to do that is later in the spring, into summer. When it's winter out and it gets too cold and they start clustering, it's better just to do the sugar camp method. Just put sugar in there and let them work it. But all right, again, it's January 5th. It's supposed to get cold out for the next couple weeks as far as I know, which is usually normal for North Carolina. Usually the real cold hits in January, February time frame. But all right, y'all have a good one.